Welcome into Hudson Sports Zone late night on Tuesday, October 5th. I'm Jerry Hudson coming to you from Las Vegas, Nevada. Tonight I'm going to wrap up week 4 and chat about my thoughts for the upcoming Thursday night game between the Rams and the Hawks. Let's go to the wrap up. Folks, for all you that took my picks, I apologize for such a crappy week. I read a lot of things wrong, things I thought were going to zigzag, the things. Anyways, I went 5-11. Let's just cut to the chase. Luckily for me, I was able to go 2 out of 5. 1, 2, lost 3 in my top 5 picks. And I did go 1 for 1 with my most confident pick of the week, which was Kansas City. Let's go a rundown of the week 4 games. And then I will provide you with my projections for what I think will happen this Thursday night between the Rams and the Hawks. Okay, so let's go back to last Thursday night. Cincinnati versus Jacksonville. Cincinnati was favored by 7.5. Cincinnati played well in the second half, but not enough to cover. Jacksonville was testy that first half. Then we had the New York Giants playing the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans was favored by 7. I lost this one as well. I thought New Orleans with Jameis Winston would clearly beat the G-Men, but the G-Men stood strong. And with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, down 21-10, they decided to rise up. Daniel Jones and crew decided to play well, and they ended up beating New Orleans in overtime. Then we go to the Kansas City Chiefs, -7 versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I won this one. This was my most confident pick of the week, part of my top 5 and my pick of the week. Kansas City didn't look great on defense, which they haven't one game this year. But man, did that offense finally start clicking, and the Cheetah with 3 touchdowns was phenomenal. Let's go to Houston versus Buffalo. I blew this one completely. I thought Houston would keep it close. The rain obviously affected Houston more than it affected Buffalo because this was a blowout. Thought Houston had an opportunity to keep it close early, but they just got outmatched. I lost this one. I thought Houston could keep it within 17. Well, they couldn't even keep it within 40. Then we go to Carolina and Dallas. Well, folks, the Dallas Cowboys are real. That defense is real. Is it a top 10 defense? I'm still not sure. Is it a top 15 defense? I'm positive. There is speed. There is talent. They're playing together under Dan Quinn. I did win this one because I took Dallas. Didn't think Carolina was going to go into Dallas and push them around, and they didn't. Darnold came back down to earth. This was a big win for me. Thank goodness, because it was a rough start to the week. Then we go to Cleveland, -2 against Minnesota. Cleveland won this one. I won this one as well. This was a good pick for me. I didn't feel comfortable with this pick after the first drive, watching Kirk Cousins and the Vikings go down the field and score right away and go up 7-0. Baker Mayfield wasn't great in this game statistically, but hey, it's the NFL. The only thing that matters in the NFL is a win. Baker Mayfield has Cleveland Browns at 3-1. And just remember, everybody that's critical of Baker Mayfield, the Cleveland Browns have been horrible since 1995. As Stephen A. Smith said in his broadcast this morning, he's beaten on Mayfield. He's been beating on Mayfield for 3 weeks. I say, Stephen A., a win's a win. An ugly win still is better than a beautiful loss. Tell Stephen A. to park it. I'll go with Keyshawn, that Cleveland and Baker, a win's a win. Let's go to Indianapolis and Miami. I had Miami -2. This was a big L. Whatever happened to Carson Wentz having 2 bad ankles? It looks like he's perfectly fine out there to me. And Brian Flores, what happened to your defense? I know Tua was out. Tua was not a franchise quarterback. He was never the answer. But who thought Jacoby Brissett would be this bad? Not me. Jacoby's been horrible. Miami's defense is on the back of a milk carton somewhere because they're non-existent. I don't know what's happening in Miami, but I'm not picking them again for at least the next 8 weeks. Tennessee -6 versus the Jets. Another big L for me. This was in my top 5 confident picks, and, well, that's a big L. I had Tennessee -6. Yeah, I knew that their top 2 wide receivers were out, but I figured that Tennessee was going to run King Henry 30 times, like the days when the Redskins ran John Riggins, and back in the day when The Giants ran Otis Anderson, and back in the day when Dallas ran Tony Dorsett, I thought they were just going to ground and pound the Jets into submission. They didn't. They got fancy. They let Tannehill throw it around, and they let the Jets hang around long enough so the Jets could beat them in overtime. Zach Wilson did make a couple of really nice plays, a couple of really nice decisions, a couple poor ones too, but he definitely played better in this game than he had all year. This was a loss for me, but good job for the Jets and both New York teams getting off the schneid and getting their first wins. Then we go to Detroit and Chicago. Chicago -3. I thought the knee biting was going to work. Detroit's defense had looked passable the last couple of weeks, and I thought, as bad as Justin Fields and Matt Nagy's offensive line play was the prior 2 weeks, that Detroit could pull off the upset here. I was wrong. Big L for me. Don't know how Justin Fields and Matt Nagy are going to progress, but I definitely am tired of Matt Nagy saying that Andy Dalton is our starter when he's healthy. That's crap. Go with Fields. Go with Fields. Go with Fields. Now let's go to Washington, -1.5 against Atlanta. This was a win for me. As you all know, I'm a Washington football team hometown fan, even though I live in Las Vegas and root for the Raiders. I picked Washington by 1.5 because I just had a feeling. I had a feeling that Heineke would do enough to get a win. Didn't have the confidence, and still don't, that Washington's defense is going to be anywhere close to what they were last year. But hey, betting against Matt Ryan is getting to be easier and easier. Matty Ice is now Matty. It's nice to see that you were better before because you're washed up. Atlanta's no good, and Washington found a way to beat them late. Let's go to Arizona versus the Rams. Rams were favored by 4.5. This was a big L for me. I guess looking at it that the Rams were just so excited to beat Tampa that they had a letdown preparing for Arizona. Colin Cowherd says that he believes that a team that has a big, huge emotional win the following week, they just have they have a blunder. They just don't play well. I really don't believe in that most weeks, but it's very apparent here that McVay and the boys just weren't ready to play. Stafford wasn't as sharp. The defense didn't get to Kyler. And boy, Kyler Murray made Cliff Kingsbury look like a great coach. I think he's an okay coach. But that defense and Kyler Murray for Arizona really made Cliff Kingsbury look like a genius. This was a loss for me, but a huge win for Arizona, who is still the only undefeated team in the NFL. Let's go to Seattle versus San Francisco -3. Another loss for me. Sure, you're seeing a pattern here. Rough week for me. Lots of L's. I thought Garoppolo and the San Francisco defense was going to be enough to beat Seattle, especially San Francisco being at home. I was wrong. Russell Wilson didn't start off well the first 2 drives, but man, he was excellent after that. Seattle found a way to win, play well, and stifle San Francisco. Let's go to Pittsburgh versus Green Bay. Green Bay was favored by 6.5. This was a win for me. Big win for me. Ben looked old. Aaron looked happy. Green Bay played decent defense, and Pittsburgh's in trouble. I'm not saying they need to bench Ben right now, whether his hip is really hurt or not, because I don't know that Mason Rudolph or the other guy, Haskins, is the answer. But Pittsburgh's in trouble at quarterback, and they're in trouble in their division. Cincinnati's a better team. Baltimore's a better team, and Cleveland's a better team. Of course, Green Bay looks like they're the prize of their division, and right now, they are. Let's go to Baltimore -1 versus Denver. Another big screw-up on my part, another loss. I thought Denver, with Steady Teddy at the helm and that wonderful defense at 5,000 square feet and mile high, were going to be enough to derail the Baltimore Ravens. Boy, was I wrong. Denver looked like a team that was 3-0 that hadn't played anybody, and Baltimore looked like a battle-tested team that had played lots of people and just didn't come out on the right end a couple of times. Lamar Jackson looked phenomenal. And hey, those of you out there bashing Harbaugh for keeping that record alive, as much as the Baltimore Ravens hate the Pittsburgh Steelers, I don't blame Harbaugh for doing it. Was it classy to do it the way he did it? No. Do you want to break the streak that they're currently tied with Pittsburgh for the most games in a row with a certain amount of rushing yards? Yeah, you want to beat Pittsburgh. You want to have that all to yourself. I got no problem with Harbaugh. But for those of you that want to sit at the bar and talk around the water cooler and say bad things about John Harbaugh, go ahead. He's a Hall of Fame coach with a Super Bowl ring. Let's go to Sunday Night Football. TB12, -7, and those Tampa Bay Buccaneers versus the New England Patriots led by Mac Jones. This was a loss for me. 7 points. 7 points was just too many. In the end, Tampa won. But there was so much more going into this game. Obviously, it was Brady versus Belichick. Who won the divorce? Why Brady isn't still in New England? We could go through that. That's a whole separate podcast. I'm not going to go too deep into that. What I do want to talk about is that Brady was high on so many throws early. I think some of that was the weather, and a lot of that was adrenaline and just trying too hard. Second thing I want to talk about is Bill Belichick is regarded as one of the greatest coaches of all time, possibly the greatest coach of all time, arguable, once again for another podcast. What I don't understand is why you put your kicker and the game in the hands of your kicker for a 56-yard field goal in the driving rain, in the heaviest rain of the night, when it's 4th and 3. It's 4th and 3. You've got Mac Jones. Tampa really had to stop you all night. You dinked and dunked your way to stay in the game and be close. Why not call a play, have McDaniels call a timeout, call a 4th down play, have McDaniels come up with something where you can get 3 or 4 or 5 yards with Mac Jones, keep Brady on the sideline, and kick a shorter field goal, or go down and try to score a touchdown. You're telling me you thought that Nick Folk in a driving rain was going to kick a 56-yard field goal, and then you still felt confident that Brady wasn't going to get the ball back and go down and score or kick a field goal, have Tampa kick a field goal with a minute left? I think Bill Belichick outcoached himself there. And let's go to Monday Night Football, where I had the hometown Raiders picked outright and cover against those Los Angeles Chargers. Chargers were favored by 3. I was drinking the Kool-Aid. I was drinking the Carr and Gruden Kool-Aid. The defense had been playing lights out. I really thought they were going to go into LA, into SoFi, and beat the Chargers. I was wrong. The Raiders did what they've done so far this year. They came out and didn't play well in the first half, and they finally ran into a team that was good enough that they couldn't overcompensate a slow start in the first half by playing great in the second half. Justin Herbert, he's as good as delivered. He's better than any second-year quarterback that I can remember. He's poised. He makes great decisions. He looks off the safety. There aren't enough good things to say about Justin Herbert that I could think of. He's just a class act. And anybody who doesn't have him as a top 8 quarterback in the NFL right now, I want to see your list because I think you're crazy. All right, just a quick recap. I went 5-11 against the spread. I went 2 out of 5 against, or my most confident, 5 picks. And then I won Kansas City in my best pick. Now let's go to what I think about for this Thursday night. The Rams are visiting Seattle. The Rams are currently favored by 2.5. It's a short week. It's Pete Carroll against McVay, McVay against Pete Carroll. It's Russell Wilson against Matt Stafford, blah, 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 blah. If you go man to man, if you look at the whole roster, the Rams are definitely the better roster. I'm taking the Rams -2.5 on the road. Yeah, I know everybody out there, you're thinking, but Seattle's a tough place to play. The 12th man, blah, 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 blah. I'm going to go with Colin Cowherd's philosophy here that teams that lay an egg the week before and have an opportunity on a short week, knowing they've got 10 days of rest afterwards to make a difference. I think the Rams definitely have the most talent, and they're going to go up there, hold Russell Wilson sort of in check, and I'm taking the Rams -2.5. That's it for Hudson Sports Zone this evening. Talk to you very soon, and I will be coming back your way Friday with a wrap-up of the Thursday night football game between those same Rams and those Seahawks, and give you my Week 5 predictions against the spread, my top 5, and, of course, my pick of the week. Take care, Hudson Sports Zone. Chat soon. Bye-bye.